Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's new comic book reviews. It was a tight one whether this was going to happen or not. This is going to be a down and dirty show. No new stuff in the bag. No movies. We're just going to hit the ground running because for the next couple weeks I will not be doing a show because I will be traveling to Japan. That's a whole other thing. So watch the socials. I'll be posting pictures and hopefully cool stuff. So as far as reviews go, for 2 weeks, probably 3 weeks, because when I get back, there's going to be a lot of books there and jet lag, and I'm going to need to recover. So as far as catch up, we'll just kind of see. I think we'll just maybe try to catch up with number ones. But we'll have to see how that goes. So probably for the next 3 weeks, there's going to be no shows. So we'll kind of try to get back in the groove after that. And but anyways, let's get going. First up, we have Petrol Head #1, written by Rob Williams with artwork by Pry Parr. This is really interesting book. The premise is. You have these robots who do this death race. It's a dystopian future, and so to entertain the people, they have these races with the robots, and they try to kill each other, trying to get to the finish line. And so it starts off. The book actually starts off with one of the robots visiting, kind of like a memorial to the robots. But there's two areas. There's the ozone layer where humans live, and then there's the smog zone where robots and like people who can't like the poor have to live. And so there's also, we're introduced to Lytton and his daughter Lupa. And he's a scientist. He's developing these nano bots to help, kind of clean the air and stuff like that. And so you have, Petrol, who, has his racing car because he loved racing, which is illegal. And along comes Linton and his daughter, trying to get away. I assume, and it's, kind of in between the lines, that he's stolen the nanobots and that they, the government kind of wants them back. So that's kind of the setup here. I really, really like this first issue. It was really solid outing. It did all the right beats. It has action, it has setup, it has, you get to know the characters and everything. That's a big plus. But really the big win is Parr's artwork. It's a really good looking book. And just, kind of a lot of fun. At this point, comics are littered with dystopian future. There's a couple more coming up this week. But I think Williams has a nice, new take on this whole thing. Plus, there's kind of the robots and the death race sort of thing. And then there's a lot of good stuff here. So definitely, I really like this book. Definitely well worth checking out this week. Next up, we have Superman 78, The Metal Curtain, #1. Written by Robert Venditti with artwork by Gavin Guidry. So this is, so DC was, they did comic set in the Superman movie time period of 78, and they also did one for Batman 89. And both of those books are getting sequels because they were very successful. So this one is so what it is Superman's American. The Russians don't have a hero, and then the Russians discover that there's a huge chunk of kryptonite that has come that has landed in Russia, and they decide to make their own superhero, aka Metallo, so they can, kind of take, be the leader in the world with their superhero. That's a basic setup here. Venditti does, he does a nice job of setting up the story and everything. Guidry's artwork's nice. I kind of miss Wilfred Torres. He did a really good job, but I think Guidry, does a nice job of bringing in a second hand. He does a good job of, capturing the likenesses of the characters in kind of a simple, style, but it works. And, if you're a fan of Superman, the 78 film with Christopher Reeve, and who isn't, this is really a fun book. I mean, it's not, mind-numbingly brilliant, but it's just fun, and that's what I like. That's what I like what Venditti does here, is he just has fun with the book, and that's what I'm paying for, and that's what I like. So definitely another win for this sequel. Next up, we have Transformers #2, written by Daniel Warren Johnson and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. The first issue was totally off the hook. I mean, who doesn't love Daniel Warren Johnson? I mean, he's amazing. And what I like about this is that he, obviously he's a fan of the Transformers and everything, and who isn't, but he's also done a really nice job of kind of, for people that may not be super familiar with the Transformers, he's done a nice job. The first issue was kind of set up of, them, why they're on Earth and stuff like this. The second issue really kind of gives the backstory of Optimus explaining to, who is it? Spike. I'm sorry. They're Spike and Carly, the humans that have kind of woken them up. And so, Optimus Prime, it's like, they've just gotten to Earth. This is all new to them. And so Spike, kind of tells them, what humans are and what they do and how they're, how they're born and stuff. And then Optimus explains, how, they fought the war with the Decepticons, and they had to flee the planet, and that's why they're on Earth. And then of course you have the Decepticons who are like, hey, we need more power, we're just gonna kill people and just steal their stuff. So that's going on. But we get the first glimpse of what has been known for a while, that this is a really shared universe with the other Hasbro property, aka G.I. Joe. We know that there's a Duke book coming out, and we actually get to see Duke in this second issue. It's not really a spoiler. I mean, we already kind of knew that they were crossing over, but I think it did feel really natural, and I did like that. Once again, it's Daniel Warren Johnson. It's like, typically shut up and take my money. And even though it's a licensed property, it still feels like Daniel Warren Johnson book, and that's what I really like about it. Usually, I'm an okay Transformers fan. They're fun, I've seen the movies, and but this book is really good. I mean, that's the key. It's a really good book that just happens to be a license. So, next up, What If Dark Tomb of Dracula #1, written by Marv Wolfman, with pencils by David Cutler, and then inks by Scott Hanna, Cutler, Victor Osbaugh, and Livesay. Lots of inkers on this one. So basically what the story is what if Dracula didn't end up killing Harker at the opera? And so what it is that's how it ties into Blade. So it's that, that's how, so what it is, instead of killing Harker, he ends up, he goes out hunting. He ends up biting this doctor who survives, but becomes a vampire. And he's the vampire that attacks, Blade's mom, and she gets bit, but he's born. So that's how Blade comes about. And so what it is Dracula has basically created Blade, and now Dracula wants to, control Blade, because Blade and his team is going around killing all the vampires that he's creating. And so, so that's a basic premise here. And then of course, Blade and the team go after Dracula. The book wasn't amazing. I mean, obviously Wolfman's known, for doing Tomb of Dracula with Gene Colan for years. And that was an amazing run. And, this book is fun. It's a one and done story. I mean, there's only so much you can do with, here's this premise. This is what you do. I think it's fine for what it is. I mean, did it blow me away? No. Is it, like back to, harkening back the days of Tomb of Dracula. No, not really, but it's a fun little story. I mean, it does its job well, and that's, like I said, it's not going to blow you away, but it was nice. Gets the job done. It had beginning, middle, and end. It was a one and done. So, if you're a fan of Marv Wolfman or Dracula and Blade, I think it's worth checking out. Like I said, I wasn't particularly overwhelmed, but I enjoyed it while I was reading it. And Coulter's artwork's actually pretty nice. It's it gets the job done. Next up, we have Birds of Prey #3, written by Kelly Thompson, with artwork by Leonardo Romero. I'm really loving this book. Each issue just really builds. So what it is, Black Canary's daughter, Sin, or sister, not daughter, sister, has been kidnapped by the Amazons and taken to Themyscira. Now, we don't know quite why she's been taken there, but we know that there's kind of something going on with her and Themyscira. So she's gotten her team, Barda, Harley and the others, to go to Theraschema. So they get there, and then they try to find Sin. And of course, one of the things is they're trying to do it stealthy so they don't tip off Wonder Woman, because she's, they're going to call for help. And so they do, the call goes out, and then Oliver is the backup to slow her down. And so he tries to slow Wonder Woman down. He kind of does. But it leads to Wonder Woman. Obviously, there's going to be a confrontation in the next issue. I really, really am enjoying this book. I really like how Thompson's handling all the characters. They're kind of, somewhat B characters. I mean, Harley is obviously the most popular, but it's just the way that she's handling all these characters and everything, and just the pacing of the story is just absolutely wonderful. And Romero's artwork is absolutely amazing. I really like, and then I like what Jordi Belair is doing with the color. How she's using the color to like give each scene like day-night scenes inside and out, just different feels. It's a really interesting color take on how the book looks, and it really gives it a unique feel, but in a very good way. So I'm really digging this book. I really like this a lot. Next up, we have Punisher #1, written by Dave Pepose, with artwork by Dave Wachter. So what this is Punisher comes back, and it's not actually Frank Castle, it's Joe Garrison. And what happens is that his family was killed, and so he becomes the Punisher to get the revenge on the guy that did it. And then obviously, there's somebody above him, so it's kind of like the mob. And so while he's tracking him down, he's been framed for the family murder by the killer. And so the killer hires these groups to like protect him from the Punisher. And that's the basic premise here. It's a Punisher story. I mean, I think it was okay. It was all nice and everything, and I don't care whether it's Frank Castle Punisher or somebody else. That really wasn't the issue. I think really the thing was, it was just like, there's been so many great versions of the Punisher, not necessarily just because it was Frank Castle, but this one was a bit on the tame side. It was I think it was by the numbers in that respect. I mean, there was nothing in this first issue that really surprised me, and I think that's where I kind of struggle with it, because it's like, okay, you have this huge history with the Punisher as a character, but what are you going to bring to the story? What are you going to bring to the story? What is Pepose going to bring to it? And I think that's where I kind of struggled, is that like, he did a nice story and everything, but it really wasn't anything like, that really blew me away, like with the Punisher. Watcher's artwork, the artwork's nice and everything. I think it just came off as very okay. I don't think it's terrible, but make your own decisions from that one. Next up, we have Army of Darkness Forever #2, written by Tony Fleece, with artwork by Justin Greenwood. So once again, so the first issue, like I said, if you've seen Army of Darkness, that was kind of a retelling of like what has happened in the movie. So the second issue really is kind of where it hits the ground running. So you have three different uh, you know timelines that is in the story. So you have the 2093 where he overslept, and it's Earth, dystopian future. You have 1993 where he works at the S Mart, and then you have 1300 AD where he defeated the evil Ash and left things there. So in 2093 he's fighting robots, and he meets up with somebody, and I won't give that away. That one was kind of interesting. The S Mart was interesting because it's basically about a dirty, a really disgusting bathroom incident at the S Mart, and then the 1300 AD that the Deadites are trying to bring back evil Ash to life, with the sacrifice. So that's kind of what's going on. So there's a lot to take in, and once again I think this is going to be one of those books that it's going to read better in the long run, because Tony's telling a lot of story, but it's a lot of story for just 20 some pages a month, and that's not a bad thing. I think it's just it's a little bit of a struggle for a monthly read in that respect. I mean, there's a lot that I really like the book and everything. I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, so Tony's done a great job on that. And Justin Greenwood's doing a nice job on the artwork. It's a good looking book, which is way above average for Dynamite some days. But I think it's just one of those things. I think it's going to read really well in kind of one shot. Because you're juggling the three stories, which, like I said, I like all three stories. It's a little bit of a juggle each month, and you just kind of get these little bites instead of like kind of more of a full story that you would if it was just one storyline. But I still like the book, so it's you might want to wait for a trade read on this one, but it's still worth checking out. Next up, we have Creepshow number 3. And as always, there's two stories. There's Eternity, written and drawn by Zoe Thorogood. And then we have, Sacrifices, written by Joe Farrelly, with artwork by Goran Suduska. So the Eternity is about this woman that develops a serum to let her live forever. Well, once again, it's, I want to live forever. That'd be great. That's kind of the problem. So she basically, her daughter grows old and dies, and she just continues living. There's the dystopian future, which she, kind of lives through, and once again, she meets all these people that she falls in love with. And of course they die and she doesn't. And so then she decides to kind of, really recreate the earth, like kind of in a good way. And then eventually the earth, turns on her. And then I don't want to give it away, but it was really interesting. It was one of those, the ending is kind of like, oh, that's messed up. But it's kind of like it's in deep down, it's kind of like, be careful what you wish for, because that's, hey, it'd be great to live forever, but not really. Then the Sacrifices is about this guy who steals a rare red diamond. They're very rare. And the guy who is trying to get it is, tells him the story is like, they're rare for a reason, because there's a reason that I need this to help, kind of save the earth from something. And I don't really want to give away anymore. It was an interesting story. It kind of started off a little slow, but then it was like, oh, this makes sense once it kind of all kicks in and everything. Farrelly, the story's really neat. Suduka, the art's really nice. I really want to say the art, once again, I really liked Eternity, and Thorogood is she's a really amazing artist. It was a good solid issue. Once again, they're small, short stories that are one and done. So you can just pick up this issue, and it totally stands on its own. Next up, we have It's Jeff, the Jeff verse, number 1, written by Kelly Thompson with artwork by Gihirhu. So these are they were digital first, and it's about this little shark Jeff and his adventures in the Marvel universe with interaction with Marvel characters and other things. I freaking love this book. It's freaking adorable and funny and charming. Thompson has really nailed it. And then Gear, whose artwork really just makes this book pop. I really love these books. I know they're digital first and, I could read them online, but there's just something about, once again, I go back to having a print copy of something that just really, really makes it worthwhile. Definitely a huge win. Must buy book this week. It's really, really good. Next up, we have Shazam #5, written by Mark Waid with artwork by Dan Mora. Last issue, Billy got sucked out into space, and so fortunately, Mary comes to rescue him, and turns him back into Shazam, is able to get him revived, and so they're there to get the warp drive from the Queen Bee and Gargooks. And of course, Ted, the ape that was there to try to get it, Ted's not the brightest, sharpest tack in the box, and so chaos ensues. With the Queen Bee, Mary and Billy, and it's just I really don't want to spoil anything. I just love this book. I love what Mark Waid's doing. And also, how he's building, kind of the side story with the family, because Mary and Billy are the only ones that have, the power of Shazam right now. The other kids don't have it anymore. So there's that kind of sideline story going on. And also the fact that, Billy finally discovers that has really been in the control of the gods. They've been kind of pulling his strings. So he's not real happy about discovering that. So there's kind of that and the ramifications, going forward about that. Waid is just knocking out of the park. I mean, he really has a handle on Captain Marvel, Shazam. And Dan Mora's artwork is absolutely wonderful. I do not know how he is drawing 2 books a month with this and World's Finest. But he is, and they both look really good. So I love this book. I love Captain Marvel, and, it's a really good book. It's still well worth picking up. I love that book. Next up, we have G.O.D.S. #2, written by Jonathan Hickman with artwork by Valerio Scheite. I wasn't a big fan of the first issue. I thought it was kind of okay, and unfortunately, the second issue really didn't really improve. It's not. First of all, the book is not bad, but this issue is basically so. The Centrum normally has like 25, magic, primes. But now after the war in the first issue, there's only 3 left. So Aiko, is kind of going, she's going and she's recruiting this teenage girl, Mia. And that's really what the book is really like. Oh, this is bad. We need more people. So let's go find people. And then the rest of the issue is like, okay, we get to know Mia, which is not a bad thing, but it's like, okay, that's nice, but it's kind of an issue where not a lot happens. And I mean, it doesn't, and I think it's not so much that not a lot happens, but for me, it just didn't move the story along very well. I mean, Hickman spent a whole issue, recruiting Mia. I mean, if they're supposed to get 25 and there's 3, so we're going to have, 22 issues of going to recruit. I mean, like I said, it just kind of, for me, it just kind of sat there. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, the real shame is that, Scheite's artwork, the artwork's gorgeous. I mean, it's a really good looking book, but story wise, for me, it just sat there. And like I said, I don't think it's terrible, but I'm like, it was not compelling. That was really the big thing. It was not compelling. And I'm like, after this issue, I don't need to come back for a third. Next up, we have Zawa and the Belly of the Beast, #1, written and drawn by Michael Dalinas. So what the basic story is, dystopian future, spoiler alert, that these factories spewing pollution, and so the factories kind of make this, think of the factories as like McDonald's. They make food that's edible, but that's about where it ends. And so there's Bandit and his sister Thatcher, they run this, kind of food store, and Bandit actually, makes like real food, but he, there you can't really get real ingredients, and so he has to work with what he's got, but what he does make everybody likes, and so what it is they, Thatch and Bandit go to the factory to get supplies for Bandit to make, and that's where they kind of run across Zawa, who has, kind of, by eating all this, kind of polluted food, has gone crazy. And, then she discovers, Bandit drops one of the cookies that he makes. And so it kind of, brings her back to life. It's interesting. I mean, visually, he's the artist who did Wind with James Tinian IV at Boom, and it's kind of an interesting story. I mean, this first issue is really exposition heavy, so it's kind of like it's hard to make a huge decision. I think it's got a good idea. It's going to be where it goes, and I think the second issue, this is one of those books. The second issue is going to be a key to like, okay, I got your setup, and everything, but where are you going to go with it? What are you going to do? Because in a way, the story is pretty basic, and, we kind of read it a million times, but, what are you going to do to like make it, stand out from like every other dystopian comic? The artwork's really nice. It's a really good looking book. I think it's kind of hard to call on this one, but I liked it. It's just, like I said, it's exposition, so it's kind of tough on this first issue. Next up, we have Fire and Ice, Welcome to Smallville, number 3, written by Joanne Starter, with artwork by Natasha Busto. I go back to like the there was like a Power Girl special that had a backup that set up the series. And so basically what it is, Superman sends Fire and Ice to Smallville to kind of work on themselves. They're superheroes, but they're not, Fire has the temper, Ice, is kind of like, there you go. And, but what I'm really loving about this book is it really is going off the rails. It's like totally, but in a totally good way. And honestly, in a lot of respects, it's kind of like like Justice League International with the Giffen, DeMatteis, and McGuire run. But I really, so this issue, Jimmy Olsen comes to, like do a story about them, kind of doing this, rehabilitation of villains in the sense of like, it's like Survivor. It's a reality, kind of like a reality television show in some respects. And so Jimmy comes to town and, he's going to write a story, and it ends up not going well, but then going well because it's insane. I don't want to say anymore, but this book has charmed me so much. Like I said, it kind of started off pretty basic and everything. And I think, Star has just done a really nice job of building the story and just, really getting, into the characters and just having fun with it. I think that's what I really love about this book. It's a lot of fun. And, Busto's artwork is perfect. She really, captures all the chaos and all the fun, but all the emotions and everything. I'm really loving this book, and it's been a really big surprise. So still worth checking out. Next up, we have Marvel Unleashed, number 4, written by Kyle Starks with artwork by Jesus Hervez. So this wraps up the series. So what it is, all the animals, D-Dog, Redwing, Chewie, Throg, bats. Yeah, bats. Go to rescue, Lockjaw, sorry. And so, it's kind of the final battle and everything. And I don't really want to say too much, but yes, they win in the end. The heroes always win, but it's kind of the way that they win and everything and how they all kind of work together. And I really have to say, without giving too much away, the ending was quite emotional. I was really kind of, got a little misty-eyed there, which really shows how good of a writer that Kyle Starks is. Because once again, these are all, fictitious. They're just comic characters, but he really infused, these animals with such character and with such heart, and it really just is so, It was really good. Hervé's artwork's really, really nice. He did the first two issues, then Juan Gideon did the last issue. He came back. It's a really nice looking book. I really enjoyed this. If you missed it, definitely pick up the trade when it comes out. I really enjoyed this book a lot. It was just a good, nice, solid miniseries with a lot of heart to it and good emotions. Next up, we have The Madness #4, written by J. Michael Straczynski with art by Aiko. So Sarah's getting revenge for her family. But what this issue does, and it's really nice, we find out how she met her husband. And I don't want to give it away, but it's not like, oh, she was at a bar, they met. No. It has to do with her having powers and that. So, once again, the basic premise is that she's going after the people that basically voted to have her killed. And they didn't kill her, but they killed her family. So now she's pissed. And so this issue, there's Astra, who's like kind of the Wonder Woman, godlike character, and then Miss Victory. So what it is Astra is really kind of defending Miss, Victory, even though, she didn't vote to kill her or the family, but still she was involved. So that's why Sarah's going after her. And Astra, kind of says, hey, I get you're pissed, but this is not the right way to do it. So that's really there's a lot of neat things that happen in this issue. I really like what Straczynski's doing with this story, and especially kind of telling the backstory of Sarah as we go along, which really helps us kind of round out her character, but also continue it's not just revenge. And I like how he's mixing that up. And then, of course, Aiko's artwork is absolutely amazing. It's a really good looking book. I'm been really quite surprised by this and really, really like it. And finally, this week we have Sainted Love #2, written by Steve Orlando, with artwork by G.O.Pota. Now, this actually came out last week. Just kind of missed it. So this is the second issue. So you have Malcolm and then John. Malcolm has developed a time traveling device. So he goes back to like the 1800s or something. 1954. Sorry. So once again, his lover John follows him, and he's created kind of like this secret, getaway for gay men, so they can kind of live their lives, because they can't be out in that time period. And so there's kind of the villain Bowman. We find out that he's part of this group called the Pilgrims, and they're trying they're trying to like eradicate gay. That's really the basic thing. So what it is Malcolm and John are now going to time travel through time to try to say that it's okay to be gay. I'm really simplifying the story, but I really like the book. I mean, G.O.D.S. artwork, is on the kind of simple side, but I think it really works well for the story. It's a very mature book. I mean, they don't really pull punches. There are many sex scenes, but I don't think anything was. Nothing ever felt gratuitous. This book is not going to be for everyone, but I think Orlando and G.O.D.S. is doing a nice job on it. I think it's an interesting story. It's kind of an interesting take on time travel. And also kind of this issue kind of, changes the relationship a little bit between Malcolm and John, because, John's saying that, he's bisexual. So, he still loves Malcolm, but, he does, he's kind of trying to, work on himself. So I think that was an interesting twist in the storyline. So, I think it's still worth checking out, but like I said, it's definitely very gay oriented. But so it's not going to be for everyone, but if it's something that interests you, I think it's pretty well done. That's going to do it this week. As always, public service announcement. I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics, Long Beach, California. Ryan Skinner runs a great store. He's the owner. There's Annie and the Wendy and Derek. Check out their socials to what's going on at the store. They offer discounts on their trades and graphic novels. They have a great pull service so you don't miss any books. And it's just, if you're in the Long Beach area, definitely check it out. And as always, we end our show with be kind. Be kind to each other. Be kind to yourself. I know it's tough out there, but just be kind. I know things are tough all over, but just be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself. That's very important. But also, in your daily thing, just be kind to others. Say hi. Open the door. It's not rocket science, folks. So anyways, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. As always, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Comments are welcome. Once again, I will be gone. There will be no videos for the next 3 weeks because I will be going to Japan. So watch the socials. I'll post some stuff there when I can. But just take care of yourselves and be kind to each other. And have a great Thanksgiving, because I'll be gone during Thanksgiving. So have a good time with friends, family, your Ohana family, and just take care of yourselves. Thanks for watching. As always, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com signing off. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.